The outpost floated silently in the cold darkness of the Epsilon sector, a small cluster of human habitats and defense stations orbiting a quiet blue planet. Mira Kellen leaned over the communication console, her eyes scanning the blinking lights that indicated fleet activity in the nearby star systems. Everything seemed calm at first, but a faint irregularity caught her attention. Unusual signals flickered across the monitors, a subtle disturbance in the steady rhythm of nearby trade and patrol routes. She frowned, tapping the console to analyze the data. The readings did not make sense. They indicated the movement of ships in patterns that were not recorded in any known galactic map. Captain Rin strode into the command room, his presence commanding but calm. "What is it, Mira?" he asked, noticing the tension in her expression. Mira pointed at the screen. "These fleet movements, they're not normal. Someone is approaching the sector, but it's not on our charts. The formation is unusual, almost like it's avoiding detection on purpose." Rin's jaw tightened as he studied the holographic projection of the fleets. The ships moved with calculated precision, too organized for random travelers, too deliberate to be simple patrols. It was as if an invisible hand guided them, and that thought sent a chill down his spine. Rin called the senior officers to the briefing room, urgency in his voice. "We have an unknown fleet entering the sector. We don't know their intentions. We need to prepare defenses and alert the council immediately." The officers moved quickly, checking weapon systems, energy shields, and fighter readiness. In every station and on every ship, humans worked with disciplined precision, their minds trained to respond to threats with speed and logic. Yet even with their training, unease settled over the outpost, a sense that something greater was approaching, something that could change the balance of the galaxy. Meanwhile, Mira dug deeper into the signals, tracing their origin across multiple systems. "Captain, these ships are coming from the Alpha Theta Corridor, a region we thought was uninhabited by hostile factions," she said, her voice tense but steady. Rin's face darkened. The Alpha Theta Corridor had been considered a neutral zone, a place for exploration and trade. Now, it seemed that peace had been broken and humanity was about to face a test it had not anticipated. He gave orders to ready communication lines, but the Council on Earth responded slowly. They believed diplomacy could resolve the situation, that reason could prevent war. Rin knew better. Experience told him that the calm before the storm was always the most dangerous. As the hours passed, alien emissaries arrived at the outpost, their ships sleek and alien in design, shimmering with unfamiliar energy patterns. They hailed the humans politely, their voices smooth and measured, hiding a tension that humans instinctively recognized. Mira monitored every transmission, noticing subtle shifts in tone and hidden pauses. Something was off, and the more she listened, the more she understood that the emissaries were masking hostility behind courtesy. The humans had dealt with alien cultures before, but there was a cold edge to this encounter, a danger lurking beneath polite words. The crew began to speculate quietly among themselves, wondering if this was the beginning of something larger, if the galaxy was shifting in ways they could not predict. Sensors detected small fleets maneuvering in nearby asteroid belts. Probes reported unexplained energy surges, and human scouts reported missing signals in areas previously mapped as secure. Rin walked the corridors of the outpost, observing his crew preparing for action, each face a mix of concentration, fear, and determination. Humanity had always faced challenges, from political betrayals to cosmic disasters. But the uncertainty of an unseen enemy testing their defenses brought a new level of tension. By nightfall, the outpost was on full alert, energy shields humming with power, weapons systems calibrated, and communication channels open across all frequencies. Mira continued analyzing the fleet patterns, her mind racing to predict their next move. Rin stared at the stars, knowing that the coming hours could define the fate of humanity in this distant sector. Every small decision mattered. Every reaction could change the outcome. The humans were ready to defend, but they did not yet know the depth of the threat approaching. And as the stars shimmered cold and distant, the outpost held its breath, waiting for the first sign of what was to come. During a routine patrol along the edge of the Epsilon sector, a small human squad moved carefully through the asteroid belts, sensors scanning for any sign of danger. The team, led by Lieutenant Jace Arlen, had grown used to long stretches of silence, but today, the stillness felt heavier, almost like the void itself was holding its breath. Suddenly, alarms blared across their ship, detecting multiple energy signatures converging at impossible speeds. Before the humans could react fully, a swarm of alien vessels emerged from a hidden sector, firing with deadly precision. The patrol squad barely had time to raise shields and return fire. Captain Rin, stationed at the main outpost, received the first distress signals. His heart sank as the messages came in, fragmented and urgent. The squad was surrounded and outnumbered. He immediately mobilized rapid response fighters, directing them toward the coordinates. Yet, as the human reinforcements approached, they too came under unexpected fire, revealing that the attack was far more organized than anyone had imagined. Someone had betrayed humanity, leaking critical patrol routes and defense positions to the enemy. The realization struck Rin like a shockwave. The danger was not only external but also internal, and that thought made every command decision heavier. Meanwhile, the squad fought with disciplined determination. Weaving through asteroid fields and returning fire at the advancing enemy, Lieutenant Jace coordinated maneuvers with skill. But the aliens anticipated each move, as if they knew exactly what the humans would do next. Mira Kellen worked frantically at the outpost, tracing communication signals, trying to determine the source of the leak. The data pointed to a rogue faction within human-aligned forces, a betrayal that no one had seen coming. Trust began to crumble among human allies, whispers of suspicion and fear spreading quickly through the fleet. Even seasoned soldiers felt the sting of doubt, wondering who could be behind such treachery. The ambush forced humanity to adapt immediately, using unconventional tactics to counter the precise attacks. Fighter pilots executed risky maneuvers, weaving through tight asteroid clusters and striking from unexpected angles. Engineers scrambled to overload energy shields and weapons, creating brief windows of advantage. The humans' ingenuity and resilience allowed them to survive against impossible odds, but every victory came at a cost. Several ships were damaged, and some brave soldiers did not return. Captain Rin felt the weight of each loss, knowing that betrayal had made every battle more deadly. The stakes were no longer just survival, but uncovering the truth behind the treachery. At the same time, alien emissaries observed the chaos from orbiting fleets, their motives hidden behind layers of diplomacy and false gestures. They had carefully orchestrated the ambush, relying on the inside information provided by human traitors. Mira intercepted encrypted transmissions, revealing hints of the alliance between the rogue humans and the alien faction. Shock and anger rippled through the command center. The Council had trusted these allies. And that trust had been shattered. Humanity had to face the harsh reality that even those they believed loyal could be complicit in plans against them. Every decision now carried immense pressure. Each choice could determine the fate of entire sectors. In the aftermath of the skirmish, the surviving patrol regrouped, assessing damages and tending to the wounded. Lieutenant Jace looked at his crew, their faces marked with exhaustion and determination. "We survived, but we have to find out who betrayed us," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. Captain Rin coordinated with intelligence units to trace every signal, scrutinizing records and communications, piecing together a picture of the infiltration. The human fleet prepared for countermeasures, knowing that the next encounter would be even more dangerous. As night fell across the sector, tension hung like a shadow over the outpost. The betrayal had changed everything, making human commanders question allies, fleet positions, and the very security they had relied on. Mira continued monitoring every transmission, her mind racing to predict the next move of the rogue faction. Captain Rin stared into the stars, knowing that the coming days would test humanity's courage, strategy, and unity like never before. The war was no longer just with aliens, it was also with the shadows within, and humanity had to act swiftly to survive, adapt, and expose the traitors before it was too late. Refusing to accept defeat, the human fleet regrouped at the main outpost, every officer and soldier determined to strike back against those who had ambushed them. Captain Rin stood on the command bridge, watching the tactical displays. His mind worked quickly, analyzing enemy formations, predicting movements, and coordinating attacks. Mira Kellen worked alongside him. her fingers flying over the console as she decrypted communications and plotted stealth routes for the human ships. Every crew member understood that failure was not an option. Humanity's survival depended on precision, courage, and relentless strategy. The first counterattack targeted the outermost enemy squadrons, small, agile fighters darting through asteroid fields to avoid detection. Human pilots executed daring maneuvers, using every advantage the terrain offered. Missiles streaked through the void, shields flared, and explosions illuminated the dark expanse. Each successful strike boosted morale, but Captain Rin knew that the battle was far from over. The rogue factions had knowledge of human tactics, making every engagement dangerous. Still, human determination and adaptability gave them an edge, turning desperation into innovation. Meanwhile, ground stations and orbital platforms coordinated with the fleet, creating overlapping defense networks. Laser turrets and railguns targeted approaching enemy vessels. While humans had fewer ships than the rogue fleet, their technology and ingenuity allowed them to strike where the enemy was weakest. Mira discovered an unguarded communication node in the enemy network, and with careful precision, she initiated a hacking operation, disrupting the enemy's coordination, causing confusion and hesitation among their ranks. The human fleet exploited these moments, pressing attacks with disciplined ferocity. Captain Rin led a daring mission to reclaim a captured human station that had been taken during the ambush. Boarding teams prepared in zero-gravity chambers, suits fitted with magnetic boots and adaptive armor. The station's corridors were dark and tense, every corner potentially hiding a threat. Human soldiers moved with silent efficiency, securing critical systems and neutralizing rogue operatives. The station's reclamation became a symbol of hope, proving that humanity could recover from betrayal and fight back against overwhelming odds. The fleet's counterattack sent shockwaves through the rogue alliance, alien emissaries observing the human tactics with a mixture of disbelief and caution. They had underestimated human creativity and coordination, expecting fear and retreat instead of bold, calculated strikes. Mira intercepted more encrypted transmissions, revealing that the enemy had not anticipated the humans' ability to use their own secrets against them. This advantage, combined with human adaptability, allowed Rin to push forward, systematically dismantling the ambush networks. As battles raged across multiple star systems, human engineers worked tirelessly, repairing damaged ships and recalibrating weapons. Every soldier understood the stakes, and even the youngest recruits showed bravery under fire. Lieutenant Jace Arlen coordinated fighter squadrons with sharp precision, anticipating enemy movements and cutting off escape routes. Each engagement strengthened the human fleet's confidence, turning initial fear into a controlled, powerful response. Humanity's reputation began to spread across nearby systems, whispers of their resilience reaching even neutral or previously hostile worlds. Back at the command bridge, Captain Rin analyzed the unfolding battles, adjusting strategies in real time. He realized that the rogue factions were losing cohesion. Confusion and mistrust began spreading among their ranks. The human counterattack had not only inflicted damage, but also shattered enemy morale. Mira worked tirelessly, her data streams feeding critical information to commanders across the fleet, ensuring every decision was backed by precise intelligence. Humanity's coordination and ingenuity became a force that no single enemy could ignore. By the time the first phase of the counteroffensive ended, human forces had reclaimed several key positions, and rogue fleets were forced to retreat into less strategic areas. The human victory was not complete, but it was decisive enough to prove a point. Humanity would not be deceived, ambushed, or outmaneuvered easily. Captain Rin addressed his crew through the comms, his voice firm but inspiring. "We have shown them our strength, but this is only the beginning. We adapt, we endure, and we will take back everything they tried to steal from us." The fleet readied for the next moves, knowing that each strike would bring them closer to uncovering the full scale of the betrayal. As darkness stretched across the stars, human ships held their positions, energy shields glimmering like beacons of resilience. Every pilot, soldier, and officer understood that the fight was far from over. But humanity had proven its ability to respond, adapt, and strike with precision. The rogue factions had underestimated them, and the galaxy began to witness that humans were a force defined by courage, ingenuity, and an unbreakable will. The counterattack had turned the tide, and the path toward reclaiming the stars and exposing the traitors was now firmly in human hands. While analyzing the aftermath of the counterattacks, Captain Rin discovered strange encrypted transmissions that hinted at hidden sectors far beyond the known maps. Mira Kellen worked tirelessly at the outpost, decoding patterns and tracing signals, revealing a network of long-forgotten star routes and ancient human technology. These were secrets left behind during humanity's early expansion into the galaxy. Abandoned outposts, old defense platforms, and weapon schematics that had been lost for centuries. Rin realized that the rogue factions had no idea about these resources, and humans could turn this knowledge into a decisive advantage. The discovery of these hidden sectors changed the strategic landscape completely. Human engineers and scientists immediately began preparing to reactivate the ancient stations, adapting old weapon systems to modern technology. Energy shields that had once been experimental were brought online, and long-range communication arrays allowed humans to coordinate across sectors never before linked. Mira Kellen traced every hidden star map with meticulous care, charting routes that could bypass enemy detection and deliver forces to critical points in the galaxy. Humanity now had the tools to outmaneuver and outthink their enemies. Captain Rin assembled a team of specialists, including engineers, tacticians, and fleet commanders, to plan the first operation using the rediscovered technology. The mission targeted a critical rogue command station that controlled multiple ambush fleets. Using stealth ships and adaptive cloaking, human forces navigated through asteroid belts and dense nebula, avoiding detection until the last moment. Every maneuver was calculated, relying on both ancient knowledge and modern precision. The operation was risky, but the potential payoff was immense, giving humanity the upper hand against enemies who had believed themselves untouchable. As the fleet moved into position, Mira coordinated the hacking teams to infiltrate enemy systems. Using the old encryption techniques now reactivated, they were able to bypass modern firewalls and disrupt command signals. The rogue fleets found themselves confused and disorganized, unable to anticipate human strikes. While the enemies scrambled to recover, human pilots and orbital platforms launched precision attacks, disabling critical systems and forcing enemy ships into retreat. The advantage provided by the hidden sectors turned the tide once again, proving that knowledge of the past could be as powerful as modern weapons. Meanwhile, reconnaissance drones mapped uncharted territories, revealing hidden supply depots, energy caches, and dormant human outposts. These sites were quickly brought back online, serving as forward bases for further operations. Lieutenant Jace Arlen led small strike teams to secure these locations, moving with careful precision, avoiding detection while simultaneously gathering intelligence on enemy movements. Every reclaimed outpost became a symbol of humanity's resilience, showing that even secrets buried for centuries could now be weapons of survival and dominance. The human fleet grew more confident with each successful operation, morale rising as they realized the depth of resources and knowledge at their disposal. Captain Rin emphasized discipline and coordination, ensuring that no opportunity was wasted. While enemies assumed they could rely on superior numbers and deception, humanity's rediscovered technology allowed them to anticipate attacks and strike first. Mira continued her work, constantly scanning for new hidden sectors, each discovery expanding humanity's strategic possibilities. The rogue factions were now facing a foe that combined ingenuity, courage, and a knowledge of the stars that they could not match. During a critical battle near an ancient orbital platform, human forces demonstrated the power of the rediscovered technology. Adaptive turrets automatically targeted enemy vessels, while human pilots coordinated precise strikes. The rogue fleet suffered heavy losses, unable to counter the combination of stealth, firepower, and tactical knowledge. Captain Rin knew that this was just the beginning. The secrets of the stars had given humanity the upper hand, but maintaining that advantage would require constant vigilance, planning, and innovation. By the end of the operation, multiple hidden sectors were secured, ancient technology reactivated, and enemy forces significantly weakened. Humanity had turned its long-forgotten past into a powerful weapon, demonstrating that their strength lay not only in courage and tactics, but also in knowledge, patience, and the ability to adapt. Mira Kellen and Captain Rin reviewed the maps and plans, realizing that the galaxy's landscape had shifted forever. With these secrets now under human control, the next phase of the war could be fought with confidence, strategy, and the full force of humanity's ingenuity. The hidden knowledge had transformed humans from reactive defenders into proactive conquerors, ready to seize the stars. Back on Earth, the council chambers were filled with tension and heated debate. Leaders from different factions argued over the correct course of action. Some urged restraint, claiming that diplomacy could still prevent an all-out war. Others demanded immediate retaliation against the rogue human factions and their alien allies. Their voices echoed through the grand halls, reflecting fear, anger, and uncertainty. Captain Rin's transmissions from the Epsilon sector were played on massive screens, showing the success of human counterattacks and the strategic advantage gained from hidden star sectors. Yet, the Council remained divided, struggling to balance morality, politics, and survival. Mira Kellen monitored the Council communications, sending updates and tactical reports. She knew that indecision at the top could cost lives in the field. Every hour mattered, and while humans fought in distant systems, political delays threatened to undermine their efforts. Secret factions within the Council whispered to each other, plotting extreme measures to seize control and redirect human fleets for personal agendas. Captain Rin realized that the threat to humanity was no longer only from external enemies, but also from internal power struggles. Amid the political chaos, civilians and media across Earth debated the morality of the war. News feeds were filled with speculation and fear, families worried for loved ones stationed in distant sectors. Citizens demanded answers about the betrayal. The rogue factions had shattered trust, and questions of loyalty and ethics spread like wildfire. Yet some voices celebrated humanity's resilience, highlighting the courage, ingenuity, and strategic brilliance of those defending the stars. Stories of daring strikes, clever maneuvers, and reclaimed outposts inspired hope, even as fear lingered in the background. Within the council chambers, a secret faction proposed a radical plan to seize control of all strategic star sectors under direct Earth command. They argued that total control was necessary to prevent further betrayal, and that humanity could not rely on alliances with alien races. Other council members protested, warning that such a move would provoke widespread conflict and potentially alienate even loyal allies. Heated arguments continued for days, with debates often stalling critical decisions. Meanwhile, Captain Rin and his officers continued operations in the Epsilon sector, acting on limited directives while balancing morality, caution, and the immediate need for survival. Intelligence officers revealed further disturbing news. Communications intercepted from rogue factions suggested that traitors on Earth were sharing information. Coordinated sabotage, espionage, and misinformation campaigns were already underway. Captain Rin realized that the war extended beyond the battlefield into politics, media, and information. Humanity's ability to survive depended not only on military skill, but also on uncovering the truth and countering deception. Mira worked around the clock, decrypting transmissions and feeding crucial intelligence to commanders in the field, ensuring that human forces maintained the upper hand despite political uncertainty. As days turned into weeks, the Council's indecision frustrated military leaders, forcing them to take bold actions independently. Small, targeted strikes were authorized to disrupt rogue operations. Using stealth ships and intelligence gathered from hidden star sectors, human forces dismantled key enemy installations and supply lines. Each success strengthened morale and proved that action, guided by skill and strategy, could compensate for the Council's hesitation. Captain Rin coordinated with local commanders, ensuring that these operations minimized civilian casualties while maximizing impact on rogue fleets and traitors. Amid the chaos, Mira discovered evidence linking rogue factions to influential council members. The revelation shook the command center, exposing corruption and hidden agendas that threatened the unity of humanity. Captain Rin shared the findings with trusted allies, planning ways to neutralize internal threats without causing further political instability. The fight was now twofold: confronting enemies in distant sectors and ensuring loyalty and integrity at home. Humanity's survival demanded courage, intelligence, and careful navigation of both battlefield and political minefields. By the end of the period, humanity's position had strengthened in space, but the Council remained fractured. Some leaders began to see the necessity of decisive, coordinated action, while others clung to outdated ideas of diplomacy. Captain Rin prepared for the next phase of operations, knowing that without political clarity, victories in the stars could be undermined. Mira continued monitoring communications, decrypting messages, and ensuring that the human fleet remained informed and adaptable. The war was no longer just against alien forces or rogue factions. It had become a battle for unity, trust, and the very soul of humanity. Through careful planning, intelligence, and persistence, humans maintained a fragile advantage. But the lessons were clear. Survival in the galaxy required more than courage and firepower. It required insight, vigilance, and the ability to navigate the dangerous waters of politics and betrayal. Humanity had proven its resilience in battle. But the Council's dilemma reminded everyone that victory depended on the combined strength of strategy, loyalty, and wisdom across every level of command. With fleets converging from multiple sectors, humanity prepared for the decisive strike. Captain Rin stood on the command bridge, his gaze fixed on the holographic displays of enemy formations. Mira Kellen monitored communications and sensor readings, coordinating every move with precision. The target was the Rogue Alliance's Central Command Station, a massive fortress orbiting a barren planet. From there, the traitors had controlled ambushes, spread misinformation, and coordinated attacks across several systems. Humanity knew that taking it down could cripple the enemy and turn the tide of the war. The human fleet moved in silence, stealth ships gliding through asteroid fields and dense nebulae to avoid detection. Fighter squadrons held in reserve, ready to strike at the perfect moment. Captain Rin issued calm but firm commands, ensuring every pilot and crew member understood their role. The operation required flawless timing, precision, and courage, as any mistake could result in catastrophic losses. Mira's calculations predicted enemy patrol routes, energy shield weaknesses, and communication blind spots, giving human forces the advantage they needed to approach undetected. As the fleet closed in, the first wave of stealth ships entered the command station's defensive perimeter. Cloaked and silent, they bypassed outer turrets and security drones, planting disruption devices that interfered with the station's energy grids. Inside the fortress, rogue operatives scrambled to respond, unaware that their systems were being hacked and sabotaged from multiple directions. Human boarding teams prepared for zero-gravity insertion, equipped with magnetic boots, adaptive armor, and precision weapons. Their goal was not only to seize the station, but also to capture critical intelligence about the Rogue Alliance. The battle began in earnest when human fighters launched coordinated attacks on enemy vessels attempting to intercept the stealth fleet. Lasers and missiles lit the void as ships weaved through asteroid belts, dodging fire while striking with accuracy. Lieutenant Jace Arlen led small squadrons to cut off escape routes and disable enemy reinforcements. The combination of human ingenuity, careful planning, and relentless courage began to overwhelm the Rogue Alliance. Confusion spread among enemy ranks, their coordination breaking down as communication channels failed and ships were destroyed one by one. Inside the command station, boarding teams engaged in fierce but calculated combat, moving silently through dark corridors, neutralizing hostile operatives, and securing control rooms. Every step was measured, every decision critical. Engineers worked quickly to restore and reroute energy grids, ensuring that defensive turrets could be used against incoming enemy reinforcements. Mira guided them through the network, monitoring every system and providing real-time instructions. Humanity's teamwork and discipline turned the station from a deadly trap into a stronghold under their control. Above the planet, the human fleet continued to press the attack, coordinating strikes across multiple enemy positions. Using long-range weapons to disable retreating vessels and prevent reinforcements, the Rogue Alliance struggled to adapt, but human strategy and knowledge of the hidden star sectors allowed them to anticipate enemy moves. Captain Rin watched the battle unfold, knowing that the success of this operation would not only cripple the enemy's command, but also send a message to the galaxy that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. As the final enemy ships fell or retreated, the central command station was fully secured. Human flags replaced those of the Rogue Alliance, and captured intelligence revealed the full scope of their plans and betrayals. Captain Rin and Mira reviewed the data, confirming that enemy networks were dismantled and remaining forces scattered. The fleet held its positions, energy shields still active, sensors scanning for any remaining threats. The operation had been high risk, but humanity's discipline, courage, and adaptability had ensured total success. Celebrations were brief but meaningful, the crew knowing that the victory had come at great cost. Human ingenuity, teamwork, and determination had overcome a seemingly insurmountable enemy. Captain Rin addressed his officers and crews, emphasizing the bravery, precision, and resilience that had carried them through the operation. Mira continued monitoring communications, ensuring that rogue remnants could not regroup or launch a surprise counterattack. Humanity had taken the decisive step, proving that strategy, courage, and knowledge could defeat both betrayal and overwhelming odds. By the end of the confrontation, the Rogue Alliance's central command was no longer a threat, and human forces had full control of critical sectors. The galaxy had witnessed the power of disciplined humans using intelligence, technology, and courage to win against betrayal and numerical disadvantage. Captain Rin and his team prepared for the next phase of the war, confident that humanity had demonstrated its ability to endure, adapt, and dominate. The decisive strike had not only crippled the enemy, but also strengthened human resolve, marking a turning point in their fight for survival and control of the stars. Humanity emerged from the decisive strike victorious, but the cost was heavy. The fleet had suffered losses, both in ships and brave soldiers who would never return home. Captain Rin walked among the surviving crews, observing the exhaustion, determination, and quiet grief etched into their faces. Every medal awarded and every commendation felt like a small consolation against the lives lost. Lieutenant Jace Arlen tended to the wounded, his voice calm and encouraging, reminding the soldiers that their sacrifice had secured critical victories and weakened the Rogue Alliance significantly. Mira Kellen continued her work, analyzing the captured intelligence and coordinating with engineers to repair damaged ships and orbital platforms. The rediscovered technology and hidden sectors were now fully under human control, but the war had left scars, not just on equipment, but on the minds and hearts of those who fought. Soldiers recounted narrow escapes, daring maneuvers, and moments when death seemed inevitable. Each story reinforced the bravery and resilience that had allowed humanity to survive against overwhelming odds. Despite the success, the human command understood that the enemy was not completely defeated. Rogue factions remained scattered across multiple sectors. Communication networks were partially intact, and some loyalists still posed a threat. Captain Rin convened a strategy meeting, emphasizing caution and planning. "Victory has come at a cost, but our work is not finished," he said, ensuring that no one underestimated the remaining dangers. Humanity's ability to adapt and anticipate enemy moves would remain crucial in the days ahead. The fleet moved to secure vulnerable outposts and strategic sectors, repairing damage caused during battles and reinforcing defenses. Human engineers worked tirelessly, restoring energy shields, weapons platforms, and communication arrays. While the stations were functional, the human crews knew that maintaining vigilance was essential. Any lapse could allow rogue remnants or new enemies to exploit weaknesses. Mira Kellen monitored all transmissions, ensuring that no unauthorized signals escaped or threatened human positions. The balance of security and readiness became a daily focus for every commander and soldier. Emotionally, the crews coped in different ways. Some found solace in camaraderie, sharing stories and helping one another. Others faced silent grief, haunted by memories of fallen comrades. Captain Rin understood that leadership required not only strategy, but also the ability to support his people. He made rounds across ships and stations, speaking personally with officers and soldiers, offering encouragement, acknowledging sacrifices, and reinforcing the importance of their mission. Humanity had won a critical battle, but the human spirit needed as much care as the fleet itself. Civilian observers across human-controlled sectors watched the news of victory with awe and relief. Families celebrated the survival of their loved ones and the strength of human forces. The reports of brave actions, clever tactics, and the successful reclamation of key stations inspired hope. While the wounds of war were visible, Humanity's resilience and ingenuity were now undeniable. Captain Rin knew that victories in battle were not enough alone. The morale, unity, and confidence of the people were essential for long-term survival. Humanity also began learning from the war, analyzing strategies, tactics, and the mistakes that had led to betrayal and ambushes. New protocols were implemented to prevent future intelligence leaks, secure communications, and ensure that no single faction could endanger the fleet or home sectors again. Engineers and scientists developed improved ships, weapons, and defensive systems based on the lessons from the battlefield. Every new technology and strategy reflected humanity's ability to grow stronger from experience. As peace temporarily settled over the reclaimed sectors, Captain Rin reflected on the true cost of victory. The bravery, sacrifice, and resilience of humans had proven their dominance. But every success reminded him of the lives lost and a constant need for vigilance. Mira Kellen prepared detailed reports and star maps, ready to guide future operations. The fleet held its positions, energy shields active, crews alert, knowing that while the immediate threat was diminished, the galaxy remained a dangerous place. Humanity's victory was significant but fragile. By the end of the period, humanity had secured critical positions, crippled the Rogue Alliance, and strengthened morale across fleets and colonies. Captain Rin addressed his officers. "We have survived, we have struck back, and we have won. But our journey continues. We must honor those who gave everything and remain ready for whatever comes next." The fleet stood ready, aware that while the cost of betrayal and war had been high, humanity's courage, ingenuity, and unity had allowed them to endure, adapt, and emerge victorious in the galaxy. Having quelled the Rogue Alliance and secured critical sectors, humanity established full control over strategic star systems. Captain Rin stood on the command bridge of the flagship, observing fleets holding formation across multiple orbits. Mira Kellen monitored every transmission, ensuring that communication lines were secure and enemy movements closely tracked. The galaxy had seen human determination, ingenuity, and discipline firsthand. And now the time had come to consolidate their victory. Humanity's strategy was no longer just defensive. It had become a calculated assertion of dominance. The fleets moved methodically, securing unclaimed sectors and reinforcing positions vulnerable to counterattacks. Human engineers repaired and upgraded orbital platforms, while defensive turrets and energy shields were brought online across key systems. Pilots executed coordinated patrols, scanning for any rogue factions or hidden threats. Every maneuver, every deployment was precise, reflecting the lessons learned from betrayal and war. Humanity had transformed from a reactive force into one capable of controlling vast stretches of space with confidence. Captain Rin oversaw the integration of newly rediscovered technology into the fleet. Adaptive weapons, stealth systems, and advanced communication arrays now operational across multiple sectors. Mira Kellen analyzed star maps and navigational data, plotting routes that allowed human fleets to respond instantly to any incursion. The rogue factions had underestimated humans, believing their numbers and deception could overwhelm them. But the combination of knowledge, discipline, and strategy now made humanity nearly untouchable. In the secured sectors, human forces established governance outposts, ensuring stability and providing aid to colonies affected by prior conflicts. Supplies were distributed, repairs completed, and civilians reassured that humanity's protection extended across the stars. Captain Rin made regular broadcasts to encourage unity, reminding all humans that survival required vigilance, cooperation, and unwavering courage. The reclamation of these sectors was not only a military achievement, but also a symbol of hope and resilience. Showing that humanity could rise above betrayal and adversity, Mira Kellen intercepted residual enemy transmissions, uncovering fragmented plans and hidden operatives. Every piece of intelligence was analyzed and neutralized, preventing future threats and reinforcing human dominance. Rogue factions found it nearly impossible to organize under the watchful eyes of human fleets. Their alliances crumbled, and any attempt at rebellion was swiftly countered. The galaxy began to recognize that humanity was a force defined by strategic brilliance, resourcefulness, and unyielding resolve, capable of turning betrayal into opportunity and chaos into order. Humanity's fleets conducted regular drills and exercises, maintaining readiness for any eventuality. Pilots trained in zero-gravity maneuvers, engineers tested weapons and shields, and commanders simulated large-scale engagements. Even in times of relative peace, vigilance remained the highest priority. Captain Rin emphasized that control of the stars required not just strength, but constant preparedness. Discipline and foresight had become the foundation of human dominance, ensuring that no threat could rise unnoticed. Civilians across human-controlled sectors celebrated their protection and stability. Stories of bravery, ingenuity, and sacrifice spread widely, inspiring new generations to respect the courage and intelligence of those who had defended humanity. While scars from previous battles remained, the galaxy now saw a human presence that was both formidable and steadfast. Humanity's victories had solidified their reputation, sending a clear warning to any who might consider challenging them. Betrayal had been punished, resistance quelled, and order restored. Captain Rin and Mira reflected on the journey that had led to this moment. From ambushed patrols to decisive strikes, from reclaimed stations to the rediscovery of lost technology, every step had forged humanity into a stronger, smarter, and more united force. The galaxy had learned a simple truth: betrayal could not break humans, and no enemy could match their combination of courage, strategy, and ingenuity. Their place among the stars was now unshakable. As fleets maintained patrols and outposts hummed with activity, Captain Rin addressed all human sectors through long-range communications. We have endured betrayal, we have fought with honor, and we have secured our place among the stars. Humanity will survive, adapt, and seize every opportunity to protect what is ours. Let this be a warning to all who oppose us. The stars belong to those with courage, wisdom, and resolve, and humanity embodies them all. The message echoed across the galaxy, a testament to human resilience and the promise that the stars would never slip from their grasp. With control established, technology secured, and fleets vigilant, humanity entered a new era, one where betrayal was no longer a threat, where strategy and courage defined the outcome of every conflict, and where the stars themselves recognized the unbreakable spirit of humans. Captain Rin and Mira knew that challenges would come again, but humanity's unity, foresight, and strength ensured that they would face whatever the galaxy presented, survive, and continue to seize the stars with unmatched determination.